Shabbat Shalom, Mishpacha. This is Rabbi Simon, and here we are at another Sabbath. So, just a couple of things before. First of all, that family that we support in the East, I would suggest that I am trying to raise $150. I think I've got $50. I'm still $100 short. So, if those of you who wish to donate, please do so. I'll be grateful for that. Actually, there was a little bit more because there was the person had a few issues with her health, and so for that we may have to just refer her to the local doctor and get some treatment. And I think probably it'll cover it I reckon it'll cover it about 100 and maybe, I'm talking about the total collection that we're trying to do, maybe about $170, $180, somewhere there. So that should be no problem. Okay, so very interesting that I wanted to tell you, which you might find of interest, is in life we get not what we want, but who we are. And I think you've heard that phrase many times before, and maybe I'll go into a little bit into the explanation of that, because that might help you. But before I do, I wanted to tell you something that happened the other day. As I was coming back from the airport, it was really raining heavy on the way back from the airport. Very heavy rain, and my friend in the car goes, "I command you, rain, to stop." So the rain didn't stop with that. It just carried on raining. And then she said again, "I command you, rain, to stop." And the rain carried on raining even more harder. So it was really funny, because I said to my friend, "No, not like this." I said, "This is how you're not going to stop the rain by doing that." Because the reason being, remember we spoke about the 5 false gods, the 5 tyrants. And those 5 false gods, and referring to Neville as well, those 5 false gods are your eyes, your ears, which is your sight, smell, sound, taste, and touch. Those 5 false gods. Unfortunately, what happens is that a lot of the times you hear people saying, "I will believe it when I see it." You heard that. Or, "I will believe it when I hear it." So we are so subjected to these systems that we have within us that we are almost in prison because of these systems. And in order to be released from that prison, we have to be out of those systems. We have to stop believing those systems. So what was the problem of the direct command? Some people might think, surely if I can command rain to stop, it'll stop. Well then, by the same token, if you command the rain to start, it should start, but that doesn't happen mostly, right? You may have tried that. So what was the problem? When we read the scriptures, it was during a drought that Elijah told Ahab that he heard or he saw the sound of abundance of rain. Now clearly there was a drought, and anybody that was listening to Elijah would have said, "This man is gone crazy, because it's been drought and there's no sign of rain." So that was the problem. The problem was that there was abundance of rain coming down, but your eyes, your sight is fixated on it. When your sight is fixated on it in the matrix, you believe that there is rain, and you are subject to that belief. In order to remove that belief or to stop the rain, you have to remove the belief. So I said to my friend, I said, "No, let me show you how to stop the rain." So I said to her, "I don't see any rain." And whilst it was still raining, I said, "I don't see no rain, it's dry weather. I don't see any rain, it's dry weather." So it continued to rain for a little bit, for a few minutes. And I said, "This is what you need to say, because you're subject to your sight. And when your sight is subject to the water, your body is going to continue to believe it, and the matrix is going to continue to deliver that which you believe. So I said, now you start believing there is no rain. And even though it seems to be pouring down, but you continue to believe it, and you will see that the rain will stop. And exactly as I said, less than 5 minutes later, when I said that there is no rain and it's dry weather, the rain stopped. What point did that prove? Well, it proved a very, very important point. It proved a point that when you are subject to your belief, like let's apply that to somebody who's unemployed. If somebody is unemployed and they're trying to get a job, if they continue to subject themselves to the 5 senses, to their false gods, then their senses are telling them, especially the sight, is telling them that they don't have a job. And everybody around them is also doing the same thing. They're also reinforcing the belief that you don't have a job. Now, what happens to that person? What if he denies his senses? And he also rejects the senses of other people around him. And he says, no, I have a job. And when he rejects the other person's senses and his own senses of sight, then what happens? Now he's put himself in the wagon of faith. Faith is a substance of things not yet seen. So by subjecting himself and saying, no, I have a job, I do have a job, I am employed. So he continues to tell himself, I am employed. And when the friends are saying, and the wife is saying that you're unemployed, he says, no, I am employed. I don't care what you're saying, I am employed. So he continues to exercise his ability, his faith, by declaring that he or she is employed. When they continue to declare that and they continue to believe it through faith, what happens? The matrix, this, hologram that we are seeing, that we call the world, it has to switch. It has to adapt to what you are declaring. It has to adapt to it because you are saying that you are employed. Now, we could apply this theory to other things, to health. If you're ill, the doctor tells you you are sick, and you say, no, I'm not, I am healed. Or somebody tells you that you are you have zero balance in your account, or whatever small balance you have, and you say, no, I've got $500,000 of balance, or whatever you desire to make it. It could be 5 million, it could be 50 million. So you continue to say, no, I actually have $500,000 of balance, and they keep telling you, no, but you have $20 of balance, for argument's sake. Or you don't have health, you're ill, and you say, no, I am healthy. They say, no, but you're not healthy. Yes, I am healthy. No, you're not healthy. Yes, I'm healthy. So what happens is you are fighting and you are declaring that in the matrix that you have what you are declaring, because at the end what's going to happen is a matrix has to accept your voice, not what the neighbor said or what the third person said or what your cousin said. They are not going to accept that. So the matrix around us is subject to your voice and your declaration only, to your life. The matrix is not subject to what the neighbor man says, what your cousin says, or what your spouse says. So the matrix will respond to you, to your voice, to your ideas, and especially when you rise up in consciousness, it will respond to you. So when you keep saying that, no, I have $500,000 balance, and the wife says, no, but you have $50, and you say, no, I've got $500 of balance, No, but honey, you got 50. No, I told you I have $500,000 of balance, and you continue to believe it inside your head. Now remember, you might say 2, 3, 4 times, but you continue to believe it. You continue to deny what they believe. You continue to deny their false god, their senses, and you continue to deny your sense, your sight, which says, oh yeah, but the balance is, XYZ. And you say, no, I have $500,000 of balance. I don't care what my senses say. Just like the prophet Elijah said, I see an abundance of rain. Yet there was no rain yet. And everybody's looking at him and looking in the sky and saying, but there's no clouds, but there's no rain. But then what happens? A small cloud appears. He sends his servant 7 times. A small cloud appears. And before you know it, there's an abundance of rain. So what is the lesson being taught? You have to believe in yourself, and your faith has to be in that. So just as I declared to you how we did it, it's not about commanding something, it's about believing in your voice. Your word, God said that your word, or my word in the case of God, of course, you're declaring in the name of God, and you're saying that my word shall not come back void. Whatever you declare, it shall come back. So just to prove the point, you always get what you are, not what you want to be. So if we look at the story where Jesus said, to him that hath, take heed therefore how you hear. Now listen to this carefully. Luke chapter 8 verse 18. Take heed therefore how ye hear. For whoever has, to him shall be given, and whoever has not, from him shall be taken even that which he had. Now, what's the active thing in there? It was active thing in there is hear. Out of the 5 touches, it's the hearing that you are being commanded to think about. And what we find is that according to Neville's understanding, he said everything that man accepts as true leaves an impression on his subconscious and must in time be defined as proof or disproof. Perceptive hearing is the perfect medium through which man registers impressions. A man must discipline himself to hear only that which he wants to hear. Now, I must emphasize this point. This is not a joke. Neville only, maybe you just heard of Neville yesterday. I've been experimenting and doing this thing for more than 20 years. And I remember when I was in the UK, and I said, I'm going to have a fantastic job, I'm going to have a fantastic salary, and at that time I didn't have a fantastic job and a fantastic salary. I'm going to have a great job and a great salary in an office, and yet I was working in a factory. And everybody around me laughed at me, and they said, this guy is stupid, he's working in a factory, and how can he have a fantastic job and a fantastic salary? Because, I was like everybody else on a low-end salary. And so I said, no, I am actually going to have a fantastic job and a fantastic salary. And my relatives, they laughed at me. I didn't have many friends, especially the relatives. I didn't used to see them that much. But they would laugh at me. They would laugh that this guy is crazy. How's he going to have a fantastic salary when he's working in a factory that has a, below average salary probably by that standard? But nevertheless, I continue to deny the hearing of the people. I continue to deny their senses. I rejected their senses. I continue to deny my sight, which said, you're working in a factory, injection molding machine factory. I said, no, I have a fantastic job. I have a fantastic salary. I continue to deny it, even though my senses were showing otherwise. Me continue to deny it and continue to move on. And according to Neville, that a man must discipline himself to hear only that which he wants. I'm not talking about books here. I'm not talking about what Neville said 20 years later, 30 years later, which I read 30 years later. By the way, I had no Neville book at that time. I read this book maybe 30 years later. And I was, and I'm talking about the time when I was what? Maybe, my goodness, I was like 18, maybe 19 years of age and working in a factory. And then I had the imagination that I was going to be in a great job and with a great salary. Okay? Didn't have it at that time, but I believed that I will have it. I believed by faith. My sight didn't show it to me, my hearing didn't show it to me, and everybody that spoke around me only confirmed that I didn't have it. In other words, their doubts, their false gods, their sight, their false god, their hearing, their false god, and my sight, my false god, and my hearing, my false god, all showed it to me that I didn't have it. But I said, no, I don't care. I have it. I'm going to get it. I have it. So what happened, it took a few years, to get there. And when I did get there, I had the fantastic job and I had the fantastic salary. And by the way, I think working, maybe earning $4,000 or $5,000 and then suddenly jumping to $20,000 is a great salary. It's times 4. And then from 20,000 to 35,000 and from 35,000 to 100,000, I would say that's a marked increase, wouldn't you? Because that's what I was saying. That was me denying my senses, denying my sight, denying my hearing. Why? Because all the soothsayers, the people around me that were telling me I don't have it, I don't care what you think and I don't care what you say. So you need to be in that position. You need to do the same thing. Because, again, coming back to the reference in Luke chapter 8, to him that has not, it shall be taken from him and added to the one that has. So what does that mean? The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. So you only magnify which you're conscious of being. Now, if you thought to yourself you're a beggar, what do you think is going to happen? Or if you thought you're broke, what do you think you're going to get? If you think you're going to broke, you're going to be more broke. You're going to get more problems if you think you're broke. And if you think that you're a beggar, you're going to go down and down further on the ground. And you're not going to have food to eat because you believe that you're a beggar. So the universe, the so-called matrix, what people call the universe, has to show you what you believe. It has to deliver to you what you believe. You believe you're a beggar, so it makes sure you're a beggar. You believe that you are broke, it has to make sure that you're broke because you said so. So you will only get what you believe. If that's what your consciousness is, then that's what you get. So, all things gravitate to that consciousness which they are in tune with. So, likewise, if you believe that you have to work hard and be somebody, and I'll show you a verse of that as well. We can go to the chapter of John, chapter 21, verse 3. They went forth and entered into a ship, and that night they caught nothing. So these people went fishing, and they were fishing all night, and they caught nothing. And verse 6, and he said unto them, cast the net on the right side of the ship, and ye shall find. They cast therefore, and now they were not able to draw it for the multitude of fishes. So when Jesus tells his disciples to cast a net a certain way, then they catch a lot of fish. So what does that mean? Well, is it because of the obeying of the voice, or what is the reason? Basically, what it's trying to show you that, there's actually a different lesson in this particular area of casting your net and then catching it. You can be working hard for the whole of your life. You can spend 22 hours a day working and maybe 2 hours sleeping, or maybe you spend 21 hours a day working and spend 3 hours sleeping. Your 24 hours are up, and you think that by doing that you're soon going to climb up the ladder and become very rich. And the answer is that you will never be able to become rich, because your hard work and toil that you're doing is going to get you nowhere. That's what this story is about. This story is about that somebody who goes fishing all night and is doing the toil and the labor and the hard work, and they come back with nothing. Meaning that you do not become rich by working hard. So this is something that we've been taught as kids, that we have to, work hard, and we have to discipline ourselves, and we have to go out every day, and then soon, before you know it, you'll be rich. So what does the story in John chapter 21 tells us? That man fishing throughout the night and using human ignorance attempts to realize his desire through effort and struggle, only to find in the end that his search is fruitless. But when man discovers his awareness of to be Jesus Christ within him, he will obey his voice and let it direct his fishing. Then when he casts his hook on the right side as he was directed by Jesus, he applies the law in the right manner and will seek in the consciousness for the thing desired. Finding it there, he will know that it will be multiplied in the world of form. So this story is again about consciousness of being, the same story that you heard about when you tell yourself in consciousness, your self-image basically. If your self-image is telling you that you're a poor man, then you will remain poor, because that's your self-image. If your self-image is of lack, like you don't ever have enough, you're always struggling, things are not working out, then you will have, or you're always complaining about bills, and you'll have more bills to pay. Struggle, then more struggles. So how do you overcome it? You change your self-image. When you change your self-image, you become a different man. Through, Paul describes it, renewing of your mind to the new man, dropping the old man, meaning dropping the old story and picking up the new story, which is a new you. I was kind of joking with my wife back home. I was joking with her that where is the remote of my 100-inch TV? And so she laughed and laughed and laughed, and she says, what 100-inch TV? I said, well, the TV on the wall. She said, I don't see no TV. So I see it. I see a 100-inch TV on the wall. But where is my remote control? So it's all perception of sight. It's all what you believe. If you're willing to deny the false gods that you supported all this time, and you have to be honest about it. You have. We all have. We all have supported these false gods. And these false gods have kept us in bondage and slavery all this time. Because had we known about this long ago, then we would not be in bondage and slavery. We would have long been in freedom. Because we support these sight, hearing, and we believe, we make ourselves subject to your sight, subject to your hearing, and we believe it, and then we are stuck in that dilemma of why aren't we getting our desire. And the only way to get your desire is to continue to deny your senses and believe, like I told you earlier, that if you believe that you have $500,000 in your balance, then you must believe it with wholeheartedness. Even if your balance is zero, you continue to believe you have $500,000. When you continue to believe you have $500,000 and you don't stop believing it, only people are going to tell you that you're delusional. Sure, be delusional. Doesn't matter if they criticize you. Who cares about that? If you don't have a job, be delusional that you have that job, that you are earning over $100,000 salary. Continue to believe that. Let them, be delusional, and let the people around you be psychotic if they want to be. Let them be psychotic. Let them be in that position, because all they're going to say to you is that you believe that you have a, $200,000 job, but you're unemployed. Surely you're mad. And you say, yeah, but I'm not mad. It's the people around me that are mad. I do have the $200,000 job. So you continue to believe it. You continue to rest your faith in the unseen, and guess what the matrix or the hologram is going to do? What is the matrix going to do? It is going to have to conform You'll say it today, you'll say it tomorrow, you'll say it the day after, and you continue to say it inside your mind. In your inner talk, you continue to say it, that you have $200,000 job, that you have the $500,000 in your bank. And what will happen? Slowly, the matrix starts to conform. The matrix now start to deliver, and doesn't matter how, and doesn't matter from where, that money will come into your account. That job that you said, you will have that $200,000 job. That healing that you wanted, you will have that healing. This is the essence of Jesus' teaching. The essence of his teaching was that what you believe to be true, it shall be true for you. It may not be true for the third person. And who really cares about that third person? Do you care about it? No. Do I care about it? No. We don't care about the third person. We care about only the first person, which is you. Therefore, in book of Mark, when the book of Mark, chapter 11, verse 24, says, "Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours." Meaning that continue with faith, even though your sight shows that it's not here yet, but you continue to believe and you continue to deny your sight. And I bring you back to my earlier reference to the rain, of what we did and how we stopped it. So you need to continue to do that. And I want to emphasize this point, because this is so very important for you to do that. And forget about the rest of what the world thinks, what the world doesn't think, because it doesn't really matter what the world thinks. It doesn't matter what the spouse thinks. It doesn't matter what the cousin thinks. It doesn't matter what the mother-in-law thinks. It's what you believe it matters, and that's how the matrix is going to form. Your matrix is a mirror. This world is a mirror. What I believe is going to become a mirror for me in the world. And so please drop all the negative belief systems. Drop all the nonsense. Once you drop all the nonsense, you drop the negativities, and you accept that you are the person you want to be. So you'll get what you are, not what you want. And in order to get what you want, you have to be that person. So how do you get to that person? Change your self-image. Become the person who has it all that he desires. That's how you change to the person. Maybe you change identity to a different person, the one that is rich, is not a beggar man, the one that has everything, instead of being a beggar and a broke person. So pick a personality in the world. You can pick a personality in the world and do it through that as well. So you have to believe that. But in order to believe that, you're going to have to change your self-identity. When you change your self-identity, you will start to see that the matrix will start to deliver, because you're a mirror. What you have on the inside, it will start to appear on the outside. Only through belief and faith. There's nothing else. Just belief and faith. If those things persist, if you persist in your belief, and if you persist in your faith, and you deny the evidence. What is the evidence? Well, I don't yet have that money in the account. Maybe that's the evidence. Or maybe I don't yet have the healing I desire. Maybe that's the evidence. Because a doctor's report, maybe that's the evidence. Who cares about all these things? Now you deny them all. Tear them up and throw them away. Then what happens? Then the universe has to respond. The matrix has to respond to you. And the matrix has to deliver that which you desire. And so, with faith, and with belief, and with persistence, that is the solution. When you stick in those things, you will be the person you desire to be. Then everything will attach to you. Don't think about the things. Don't focus on the things. Focus on you, because you want to be that person that has the big balance, that has the healthy healing, that has the spouse he wants, that has the love that he wants, that has the job that he wants. So change your self-identity. That is the secret. So with that, I'm going to say have a wonderful, wonderful Sabbath, a wonderful weekend, and happy Rosh Hashanah to you all, and upcoming, of course, Yom Kippur as well. So with that, have a wonderful, wonderful time with your families. Take care. Shabbat Shalom.